All right, we're going to go through the retake version of the 3.6 quiz together today so you can have some more examples and practice and see what the quiz is going to look like. Okay, so I want to write down a couple things first. This one says, I measure how tall my tomato plants are in inches each week in the summer. And they give me this equation, y equals 2x plus 10. So let's label what we know here. We have a number by itself. That's always our starting value. So in this case, it starts at 10. We have a number with the x, the 2 here, and that's going to be our rate. And then I have an x and a y. And I know that the x is always the independent variable, and the y is the dependent variable. Okay, so a lot of this was covered in video 9, but we're going to use it here. They ask me about those 4 pieces, the 2, the 10, the x, and the y. What do they all mean in this context? So let's break it down. Well, the 2 is the rate. So my plants are growing at what rate? Well, we're talking about inches here each week. So the rate is positive 2, growing 2 inches each, or we could say per week. That's the rate. Okay, the number by itself is the starting value. So 10, the plants start at 10 inches. My starting value is 10. They start at 10 inches and they grow another 2 inches each week. Okay, what do the x and the y represent? Well, if you remember from video 9, the x, or the independent variable, is always the thing in control, or more often than not, it is time. Days, hours, weeks, minutes, seconds, anything to do with time is usually the x variable. And the y variable, or the dependent variable, is the result or the outcome. Okay, so when I'm figuring out what those are in this case, let's see, x is always time. So the thing that I'm counting or measuring here in this problem is how tall are the plants and how many weeks have gone by. So time would be weeks. And the result or the outcome, the height of the plants. Okay, so I took each of the 4 pieces here and kind of described what they represent down here. Now, how tall is the plant after 4 weeks? Well, I'm going to copy my equation down. Y equals 2x plus 10. And I'm going to plug this 4 in for weeks. Well, if I forget, x is weeks, so this would go in for x. So now I can work it out. 2 times 4 plus 10. This is going back to solving both ways. If they give me a value for x, plug it in. Y is already by itself, so I just need to work this out. 2 times 4 is 8 plus 10, so y is 18, and I need to label it. Well, y is the height of the plant, so it is 18 inches. Okay, how many weeks has it been if the plant is 38 inches tall? Always go back to your equation and copy it down. Y equals 2x plus 10. Draw your line down the equal sign, and let's plug in that 38. If they're giving me the height of the plant, y is the height of the plant. So I'm going to plug that 38 in for y and copy down my equation. And now I'm trying to get this x by itself. So inverse operations to cancel things out until you get x by itself. Minus 10, minus 10. Bring everything down. 38 minus 10 is 28. Final step is to divide both sides by 2. So x equals 14. And I need to label it. They want to know how many weeks. So x equals 14 weeks. Okay? So I want you to try the next one. Okay, this one says you have some team money, but you get it taken away each time you talk in class. Here's your equation. So think about the number by itself, the number with the x, Think about what you're counting or measuring as your independent variable. What are you counting or measuring as your dependent variable? And answer these first 4 questions. Okay, so pause and let's try those first. Do not hit play until you have your answers written in here and are ready to check. Okay, well, we know the number by itself is the starting value. So you start with $36. The number with the x is the rate. So -4, you lose $4 each time you talk. And then your 2 variables. We are counting and measuring how much team money you have and how many times you talk. Well, the thing in control, remember this is the thing in control, or how many times you talk, and the result or the outcome is the team money. So that's our dependent variable. Okay, so now we have 2 questions that ask us to use that equation. I'm going to copy it down again. Y equals 36 minus 4x. Y equals 36 minus 4x. And draw the line down. Always start by just copying the equation as it is. Okay, what happened if you have $20 left? Well, I'm going to figure out where to plug this 20 in. Does it go in for y, money, or x, times? Well, that's money. So put it in for y. 20 equals 36 minus 4x. And now I'm trying to solve for x. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I want you to finish working this out and figure out how many times you talked. And then I want you to plug this in, work it out, and figure out how much money you have left. Okay, so finish both of these and hit play when you're ready to check. Okay, so I finished working this out. I had to get x by itself, so minus 36 on both sides, bring it down, divide by -4 on both sides, and I got that. And then on this side, plug the 6 in for x, and now y is already by itself over here, so I'm simply working this out until I evaluate it and get y equals 12. Okay, so now we're on the back. Now they're giving me an equation, and they're going to tell me what x is. So x is going to be how many minutes have gone by in this case. Y is the depth of a submarine, and we're looking at how many feet below sea level. So if I look at this equation, I can simply kind of put into a sentence what's happening. Well, let's label it. The number by itself is the starting value. The number with the x is the rate. So label that on your paper. So the submarine starts at whatever your starting value is, -300, -300 feet, or 300 feet down. And it goes, well, what's the rate? Is it going up or down? -5 is my rate, so it must be going down 5 feet each, or per, and we're talking about minutes. This is really your x variable here. So each minute. So the equation y equals -5x minus 300, or I'm going to write this again, y equals -300 minus 5x, if you want to put the starting value first, starting at -300 feet and going down 5 more feet each minute, or times the number of minutes. Okay, I want you to try number 4. Here's your equation. Label the starting value, label the rate, and then see if you can put it into a normal sentence like this. Okay, so pause until you're ready to check number 4. Okay, the sentence here would be Chevy starts with 157 likes. That's my starting value. And he gains 5. It's +5 is the rate. So plus 5 more likes each time somebody reads his article. Okay? Number 5, you score 10 points on the quiz and 6 more for every hour you study the material at home. Now they're giving you the sentence and asking for the equation. So all of our equations are going to be y equals. Y equals. And let's think about the starting value. Looks like I start with 10 and I go up 6, so +6 every hour I study. So that's the rate that goes with the x. Okay? Now, what are the 2 things that you're counting or measuring? Well, we are looking at how many hours we study and how many points on the quiz. Remember, X is always time, so this is going to be how many hours I study, and the result or the outcome is going to be points on quiz. I start with 10 points and I go up 6 points for every hour I study. Pause now and you do number 6. Don't hit play until you have 6 filled in. Okay, well, y equals, I start at -15 and I go down 6, so my rate is -6 times the x, times how many hours. Remember, x is time, so how many hours, and y, the result or the outcome, is the temperature. All right, now we're going to write the equation and then use it here in the next 3 examples. I'm going to do the first one and then you're going to finish 8 and 9. It says the temperature starts at -10 when you wake up and it warms up 8 degrees each hour throughout the day. Okay, so I have a starting value, I have a rate, plus 8 is the rate because it's positive going up. Let's put that together in an equation. Y equals the starting value, -10, warming up, so plus 8 times the number of hours. There's your equation. That's part of it, okay? Now, I want to point out, if you happen to write it or see it on the quiz, 8x minus 10, that would also be correct. I still have a starting value of -10, and I still have a rate with the x of +8. So either of those is cool. Now, what will the temperature be in 5 hours? Well, your job is to decide, do I put 5 in for x? Well, yes, x is time. Or do I put the 5 in for temperature, which is my other variable, my y? No, they're giving me x here, time. They're giving me the x. So I'm going to write it again, and now I'm going to plug in the 5. So it starts at -10, goes up 8 times 5 hours. I'm trying to figure out what y is, so I'm just going to work this out. -10 plus 8 times 5 is 40. -10 plus 40 is 30. So my y variable, the temperature, is 30 degrees after 5 hours. Okay? I want you to try 8 and 9. Do them completely. Write your equation, and then actually plug in for 3 cookies, or actually plug in for 28 pieces, and work them out. Do not hit play until those are done and you're ready to check them. Okay, you should only be writing this down if you tried it first on your own. $1.35 for the Bosco stick, and then 99 cents for each cookie. And if I get 3 cookies, I would plug the 3 in here and then work it out. Notice again, this order could be switched. Either one of these is correct. All right, work it out after you get 3 cookies. Those 3 cookies come out to $2.97 plus the Bosco stick, and I get a total of $4.32. So if you need to do some work off to the side, do it. Y was already by itself here, so I just brought it down and worked out my total. Now, I know we're spending money here, but when you go to check out or when you go to pay, they're just going to add everything up and give you a total. So that's why this is a positive number. You're adding up the cost of the Bosco stick and the cookies, and you get a positive number that you owe when you go to pay. Okay, number 9. Starting value is 56, and you give 4 away for each friend, so your rate is a -4. You could flip it around and write it this way, as long as the -4 is with the x and the 56 by itself. All right, if I have 28 pieces left, I'm going to plug that in for y. Pieces of candy, right? This is telling me my pieces of candy is equal to 56 minus 4 for each friend. So plug the 28 in, and now I have to get x by itself. So I canceled out the 56. I did that math over here. Negative, the negative is bigger, -28. Then divide by -4 on both sides, and I get that I have 7 friends that I gave candy to. Okay? So you have this to hold on to. Your job now is to do as much as you can on the 3.6 packet. Keep working on that 3.6 practice.